The battlefield was silent, not because the war had ended, but because something worse had begun. The massive entity floated near the horizon gate. It did not rush forward. It did not attack. It simply watched every ship, every signal, every movement. It was learning. Inside every human and alien mind, its voice echoed again. You change. But slowly, fear spread like fire. Even the strongest soldiers felt it. This was not just an enemy. This was something that understood them. Captain Alara Voss stood on the command deck. Her eyes did not move from the screen. "Do not engage," she ordered. No one argued. For the first time in the war, both sides waited. The old general joined her ship. He walked slowly, his face calm but tired. "I have seen many wars," he said, "but never like this." Alara nodded. "This is not a war of weapons," she said. "It is a war of minds." The entity moved closer, not fast, but every movement felt heavy, like space itself was bending around it. Suddenly, one alien ship fired. No order, no warning, just fear. A beam of energy struck the entity. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the beam stopped, frozen in space, held in place like time had stopped. The crew of the alien ship screamed. "What is happening?" The entity shifted slightly. The beam turned, slowly, and fired back. The alien ship was destroyed instantly. No explosion, no sound. It simply disappeared. Silence returned. Now no one dared to attack. Alara spoke quietly. "It is not just adapting anymore. It is controlling." The old general looked at her. "Then we cannot fight it directly." She nodded. "Yes, we need something new." Back on Earth, emergency meetings began. Human scientists worked day and night. Alien experts joined them. All knowledge was shared. All limits were removed. One idea stood out. Dangerous, unstable, but possible. A scientist explained it to Alara through a live link. "The entity learns from information," he said. "We already know that," Alara replied. The scientist continued. "But what if we overload it?" Alara narrowed her eyes. "Explain." The scientist took a breath. "We create something it cannot fully understand. Too fast, too complex." He paused. "A system that changes faster than it can learn." Alara understood. "You mean we become unpredictable again?" The scientist shook his head. "No, not more than that." He said slowly, "We evolve, on purpose. The plan was risky. Humans would upgrade their own minds, using advanced neural systems, faster thinking, faster decisions, constant change. They would think faster than the entity could learn." The old general listened carefully. "You are changing your own species?" he asked. Alara replied, "We already changed to survive. This time, we choose how." Within days, the first group was ready, elite human soldiers, connected to a new system, their minds linked to machines, processing information at extreme speed. Alara was one of them. She stood inside the chamber. Machines connected to her head. Lights surrounded her. The system activated. At first, the pain. Then silence. Then clarity. Her thoughts became faster, sharper. She could see patterns instantly. She could predict movements. She could think in ways she never could before. "Alara, can you hear us?" a voice asked. She smiled slightly. "Yes," she said, but her voice sounded different. Calmer, stronger. Back in space, the entity moved again. It sensed something new. Alara's fleet approached, small, quiet, but different. "Do not attack normally," she ordered. "Follow my signal." The battle began, but it was not like before. Human ships moved in impossible ways. No patterns, no repetition. Each action was unique. Each move changed instantly. The entity reacted. It tried to adapt, but something was wrong. It could not keep up. Alara's mind moved faster than ever. She saw every change, every reaction, every weakness. "It's slowing down," a pilot said in shock. "Yes," Alara replied. "For the first time, it cannot understand us." The fleet pushed forward. Carefully, the entity resisted. It changed forms. It attacked with strange energy. But now, humans changed faster. For the first time, the enemy was behind. But then, the entity stopped. Completely. It did not attack. It did not move. Alara felt something strange, a pressure inside her mind. Then, the voice returned, stronger than before, clearer. "You are different." Alara's eyes widened. It was not just observing, it was focusing on her. "You are changing it faster." The system around her began to shake. Warnings appeared everywhere. "Neural overload," someone shouted. "Disconnect now." But Alara did not move. She looked at the entity. "No," she said quietly. "Not yet." The voice came again. Now, closer. You are like us. The words froze her. The old general watched in fear. What does it mean? He asked. Alara whispered. It means we are not just fighting them anymore. She took a slow breath. It means we are becoming them. Silence filled the command room, because that truth was more dangerous than war. The entity moved slightly closer, not as an enemy, but as something curious, and for the first time, the line between human and unknown began to disappear. The war was no longer about winning. It was about identity, and Alara knew the next step could save the galaxy or destroy everything. The battlefield felt different, not just quiet, not just tense, but uncertain. Captain Alara Voss stood at the center of it all. Her fleet waited behind her. The massive entity floated ahead. Between them, silence. But inside Alara's mind, there was noise. Too much. Too fast. Thoughts moved like storms. Ideas formed and broke in seconds. She could see patterns in everything. Enemy movement, energy flow, time gaps. She could understand it all, but something else was happening. She was losing something. Captain, your neural levels are rising. A voice called. Disconnect now. But Alara did not respond. Her eyes stayed fixed on the entity. The voice spoke again inside her mind. You are changing further. Alara answered this time, not with words, with thought. We changed to survive. There was a pause. Then the entity replied, we changed to become. The difference was small, but important. Behind her, the old general watched carefully. What is happening? One alien officer asked. The general spoke slowly. They are not just fighting. They are communicating. That truth made everyone uneasy. The entity moved closer, slowly. No attack, no defense, just observation. Alara stepped forward in her ship. Her voice came through the comms. All fleets, hold position. No one moved. No one questioned her. Inside her mind, the connection grew stronger. She could feel the entity. Not fully, but enough. It was not like a normal mind. It was vast, layered, constantly shifting. You learn fast, Alara thought. The entity responded instantly. You resist change. Alara's heart beat faster. We choose what to become. The entity paused, then replied, choice is inefficient. That word hit her hard. Inefficient. She remembered Earth, its history, its pain, its growth. Humans made mistakes. Humans struggled, but that struggle made them stronger, without choice. There is no meaning, she thought. The entity did not answer immediately. For the first time, it hesitated. Back on the ship's alarm suddenly went off. Energy spike detected. Someone shouted. The entity's form began to change, faster than before, more unstable. Alara felt it. The connection was breaking. You are limiting yourself, the entity said. We can remove your limits. Alara's system shook. Warnings filled her screen. Neural collapse risk critical. The offer was clear. Join them. Become something more. No limits. No weakness. No fear. For a moment, Alara was tempted. With this power, the war would end. The galaxy would be safe. No more loss. No more pain. But then, she remembered the cost. No choice. No identity. No humanity. Her voice was quiet but firm. No. The entity reacted instantly. Its form twisted. The calm presence disappeared. Then you will fall behind. The connection snapped. Alara gasped. Her system nearly shut down. Disconnecting! The crew shouted. She fell to her knees, breathing hard, back to normal, but not fully. Outside, the entity changed again. Now it was no longer calm. Now it was aggressive. The war returned, but this time, it was personal. The entity attacked. Massive waves of energy spread across space. Ships were pushed back. Entire fleets lost formation. Defensive positions! Alara shouted. Her voice was weaker now, but still strong. The combined fleet fought back, again using chaos, again using unpredictable moves. But the entity was different now. It was focused. It was angry. It targeted Alara directly. Captain, you are its focus. A pilot yelled. I know, she replied. The old general spoke urgently. You must fall back. Alara shook her head. If I run, it will follow. She looked at the battlefield. If I stay, we have a chance. She took a deep breath, then gave the order. All units. Prepare final strategy. The command surprised everyone. Final? Someone whispered. Alara's voice was calm. We cannot outgrow it. We cannot outfight it. She paused, but we can outlast it. Her plan was simple, but dangerous. They would not try to win. They would force the entity to keep adapting. Non-stop. No rest. No pause, until it reached its limit. Everything has a limit, she said. Even evolution. The fleet moved again. Constant attacks, constant changes. No patterns, no logic, only pressure. The entity responded. Again and again, faster, more complex, more unstable. Space around it began to break. Energy became wild, uncontrolled. It's overloading, a scientist shouted. Alara watched closely. Not yet, she whispered. The entity's voice returned, now distorted, broken. Too much change. For the first time, it was struggling. The galaxy held its breath, because this was it. The moment that would decide everything. And Alara knew, one more push could end the war, or destroy them all. The battlefield was breaking. Not just ships, not just fleets. Space itself. Around the massive entity, energy moved wildly. Light twisted. Darkness pulsed. Reality felt unstable. The plan was working, but the cost was rising. Captain Alara Voss stood on her command deck. Her body was weak. Her mind was tired, but her eyes were still strong. Status? She asked. A crew member replied, "The entity is unstable. Its structure is collapsing," another voice shouted. "But the energy levels are critical. If it breaks, it could destroy everything nearby." Alara understood. If the entity collapsed the wrong way, it would not just die. It would take the fleet, the gate, maybe the entire system with it. The old general spoke from his ship. "You have pushed it to the edge," he said. "But this is beyond war now." Alara nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "This is the end." The entity's form twisted again. Now it was no longer stable. It shifted between shapes. Large, small, solid, liquid. Its voice came again. Broken, weak, too much change. "Cannot stabilize." Alara took a step forward. She knew this moment mattered. "Open a channel," she said. The crew hesitated. "You want to talk to it?" someone asked. "Yes," Alara replied. The channel opened, not with sound, but with thought. Alara reached out. Carefully. "Stop," she said. The entity reacted. Slowly. "Stop?" Alara continued. "You don't need to keep changing." The entity struggled to respond. "Change is survival." Alara shook her head, even though it could not see her. "No," she said. "Change without control is destruction." Silence. For the first time, the entity did not answer quickly. Behind her, alarms kept sounding. "Energy spike increasing. We are running out of time." The old general spoke urgently. "End it now. Destroy it before it collapses." Alara closed her eyes for a moment. She had a choice. Destroy the enemy, or try something no one had ever done. She opened her eyes again. "You said choice is inefficient," she told the entity. "But choice is what makes us strong." The entity's form flickered. "Choice creates weakness." Alara answered firmly. "Choice creates identity." She took a deep breath. "You adapt to everything. But you don't understand why." The entity went still. "We fight," Alara said. "We fail, we learn. We choose who we become." Her voice softened. "You only change because you must. We change because we decide to." A long pause followed. The battlefield waited. The fleets waited. The galaxy waited. Then, the entity spoke again. Slower. Different. Choice gives direction. Alara felt it. Something was changing. Not its power, not its form. Its thinking, without choice. "No end," the entity said. Alara nodded. "Yes," she replied. "And right now, you need to choose." The entity's unstable form began to slow. The violent energy started to calm. Everyone watching was in shock. "Is it stopping?" someone whispered. The old general stared at the screen. "In all my years," he said quietly, "I have never seen this." The entity focused again, but this time, not as an enemy. "If we stop, we end," Alara answered gently. "Or you become something new." Silence again. Then, the energy began to collapse inward, not exploding, not spreading, compressing. The massive form shrank. Slower, smaller, stable. The chaos in space began to fade. "It's working," a crew member shouted. The horizon gate started to close, slowly sealing the tear in space. The entity's final message came. Clear, calm, choice accepted. And then, it disappeared. Not destroyed, not gone, changed. The battlefield became still. No attacks, no movement, just silence. Alara fell to her knees. Her strength was gone, but her mission was complete. The war was over. Days later, the galaxy began to recover. Again, but this time, things were different. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were not just warriors. They were something more. Leaders. Not because they were the strongest, but because they understood something others did not. The power of choice. The old general stood before a new council, human and alien leaders together. He spoke clearly. We once laughed at humanity. The room was silent. We saw their weakness. He paused, but we were wrong. He looked around the room. Their strength was never their weapons. He placed his hand over his chest. It was their ability to choose. Even when the cost was high, across the galaxy, stories began to spread. Stories of the war, stories of the unknown enemy, but most of all, stories of humanity, a species that was weak, divided,
Flawed.
and still rose above everything. Not by force, not by fear, but by choice. And that became the final lesson of the galaxy. Never mock a species that can choose its own path. Because one day, that choice may shape the fate of everything.